Welcome to Paradigms at paradigms.life, the radio show and podcast that brings you inspiring people with visions of a viable future for life on Earth that includes humans. Hi, I'm Baruch, host of Paradigms. Glad to be here with you, bringing you a returning guest, amazing guitarist, just amazing musician. He's got a new record out that is quite something, and we're going to hear a bunch of that, and we're going to talk with him about the music, and he also has a very interesting life that I think you'll be glad to hear about. So let's get right to it and meet him right now on this episode of Paradigms. Matt Steady, welcome back to Paradigms.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Yeah, it's been an incredibly busy week, but I think we're getting to the back end of it, so wish me luck.
All right. Well, glad to talk with you. You got some great new music out, and I know you're doing a lot of cool stuff, and I just thought it'd be fun to touch base and talk about the new record Presence and also about your actually very exciting family life.
Oh, gosh, yes.
But let's talk about the record a little bit first.
Okay.
Presence. So this is wonderful. I just listened to it. It's sort of like a bunch of rock poems.
Oh, I love it. Excellent. Yep.
Each one is like its own poem. I mean, it's so different from the other stuff you've done.
Oh, totally. I mean, you can tell it's the same guitarist, but yeah, it's completely different. I mean, I love the fact you call them poems. I think of them very much as songs, even though they are instrumentals. I mean, the way it came about really was basically this year has been really quite tough for us. We've had a tough old year in a lot of different ways. We've had some wonderful times as well. Don't get me wrong, but it's also been a bit of a grind, and we've had some things happen that have been real tough. My last album, it was all lyric based, but this album, I kind of sat down and tried to write stuff, and I had all this stuff inside me, and I didn't know how to get it out. I didn't know what I was even feeling, let alone how to put it into words. And somehow when I picked up the guitar and started just doing lead work, it all kind of came out. So it ended up being an instrumental album because I literally ran out of words and I didn't know what to say. And the guitar just kind of took off where the words failed, really. It allowed me to kind of exercise some demons. But it wasn't just the tough stuff. It was the joy. It was the levity. It was the fun. It was family life. It was just everything, really. It's just just this big bag of emotions, and that's just how it came out this time. And so I think of them very much as songs, and I make sure that you can sing them. So they're all very I think they're very singable anyway. There's some really good guitarists that I absolutely love, and you listen to their stuff, and it's super technical and amazing. But you can't go away and sing it, and the track finishes, and you couldn't sing a few bars of it to somebody. You know what I mean? And for me. Mm-hmm. I still needed that melodic approach, phrasing, and pretty much words, but with the guitar, if that makes any sense. So for me, they're very much songs, even though there's no lyrics.
Oh, yeah. No, the guitar is a voice, and it's just not in words. It's in sound words.
That's it.
And I love it that you said, I just ran out of words and I had to get this stuff out. I mean, I'm sure we can all identify with that.
For sure.
There's times when there are just no words. And at this time in the world, sometimes there are just no words, and yet right. Everyone's got stuff they've got to get out. And actually, I love the idea of singing along with this. People, you could really wail along with this because this is passionate music.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's funny enough. I mean, I have to play the music quite a lot, so I put it on a CD, whack it in the car, listen to it. Oh, think that needs to come up, that needs to come down. Need to fiddle with that. Actually, that's really boring. That bit. Let's see if we could do something about that. What can we do? And there's a couple of the tracks that one in particular, Perforate. I was thinking because it's fairly kind of whimsical. It's quite different. It's not in your face. It's just a bit of fun, really. And I was really in two minds of whether I even liked it or whether to put it on there. But it had a little spark, and I put it on the CD. I was listening in the car, and I found the kids were singing along with it. And I thought, there we go. If the kids can sing it, it's going on.
That's great. Well, I heard that you were doing this record from our mutual friend, John Reed. And he said, you won't believe what Matt Steady is doing. He's done a heavy metal instrumental album. And I was like, whoa, okay, well, we have to talk to Matt about that. But honestly, It's not really heavy metal. I mean, it's powerful lead guitar. It's not, a
It
little
is.
acoustic folky.
I'd call it more kind of, the word gets overused, but kind of epic. There's a kind of, it should be grandiose. It's not operatic. It's not kind of, it doesn't go over that line to operatic, but it should be grand and make you feel things. That's the plan. It is heavy in places. There's bits of it that are really heavy, but it's not heavy for the sake of it. It gets heavy in places because the music needs to build and it needs to have something behind it, just elevating it. But I don't sit there thinking, what's the heaviest thing I can possibly make? And then, it's not meant to be like that.
I've been talking with Matt Steady about his new record, Presence. We'll be talking with Matt about a whole bunch of stuff. But let's hear some of the music now. Here's a track called Foundation. This is Paradigms at paradigms.life. You just heard Foundation from Matt Steady's new record, Presence. Wonderful music. All right, let's talk some more now with Matt Steady. So just curious, few like technical questions. Like, how long did it take you to make this record?
It's a year's work, that. I guess you could do it quicker. One of the things that slowed me down slightly was because I've been playing guitar for a long time, many decades, and you get to a point where you're playing where you know how to play over most things, and you can make melodies and you can play along and enjoy yourself and be really musically creative. But somehow along the line, somewhere down there, when I first started, I was working out the technique of how to do things, and working out how to play rather than what shall I play. And after a couple of decades, you find yourself just playing, what should I play and how you play doesn't come into it anymore. It's like singing, or talking, you don't think about how you talk, you just do it. The technical aspects is kind of gone. But actually, I realized there's quite a lot of technical aspects that I could work on, different techniques that I haven't really played with very much. Certainly, I've never been a quick guitar player. I've always concentrated very much on melody and phrasing. I've never worried about whether I could play quick. I mean, and, that's no problem with that. Dave Gilmour's never played a quick lick in his life, I don't think, and he's one of the best guitarists there's ever been.
Yeah. There's only one Mark Knopfler.
Oh, man. Don't get me started. Don't get me started on my heroes. But again, he rarely plays that quick, really. He's not a shredder. And I don't want to make an album that is full of shredding. You can go down to a guitar shop and there'll be a 12-year-old kid there that can play a million notes per minute and just blows you out the water with speed and technique. I don't need to do that. I don't feel like I need to compete with people and people don't really want to listen to it, in all honesty, most people, unless you're a guitarist and you can appreciate what they're doing and you're approaching from that point of view. I wanted to make lyrical, musical music with phrasing, but every now and again, bam, you stick in something quick, or you stick in some two-handed work, or you've got some sweeps, or just a little bit of techniques. It just adds a little bit of kind of like fairy dust on it, and just it gives you a bigger vocabulary for your poems, if that makes any sense. So the song shouldn't be about, I've got this technique, I'm going to show you what I can do with it, or look how good I am at the guitar. It shouldn't be about that. But if you can improve the song and make it just a little bit more powerful by putting some of these techniques in, then bam, that's it. But I had to work really hard to get those techniques done. So the last year I've spent hours and hours pretty much every day working on my technique, doing different things, trying to get a bit quicker, trying to get a bit slicker, trying to get my damping right, trying to get, there's a million different things. And I've come to the end of it and thought, I've still got this far to go, but this is a good stepping stone. And I made some good improvements, and it definitely added something, I think. So I just really enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed adding some new techniques and getting better.
I'm curious to know about the guitar or guitars. What are the instruments on this album? Well,
there's 3, I think. I've basically got a Fender copy that somebody in Newcastle made as a kind of a project in their garage, and I think they made quite a few guitars, and they're nice guitars. And I bought this one, and it was, I think he needed some money for Christmas or something, so he sold it for 150 quid. And I thought, you know what, it looks nice, I'm just going to go for it. And then I figured out it was in Newcastle. I said, look, I can't get you for another 3 weeks. I'll come up but I just haven't got. And he said, don't worry, I'll drive it down. He said, do you want an amp with it? Anyway, he drove down from Newcastle to Leicester, dropped me off this guitar. There's this massive Fender reverb twin thing, which has just got an amazing sound as well. And he dropped it all off. He wouldn't let me give him any petrol money or anything for the amp, and then just drove home again. And
my goodness.
I've tried to message him to say thank you, and he just doesn't seem to exist anymore. So I don't know whether there's some kind of angel or something, but thank you, sir. If you're ever listening, I really appreciate what you did for me there. And I've been playing it for years and years and years. And if you take it to the guitar shop, say it just needs setting up again, it'll look at it and go, you do know it's not a real Fender, don't you? And I go, yes, I know. And he goes, you could really do with upgrading a lot of the bits on here. They're not very good. And it's like, leave it. It's great. I love it. It just fits my fingers, and it is just a really, really lovely guitar. And I play it an awful lot, and I've played it for years, and it's just what I need, and I often find that if you want to buy a guitar, don't buy the most expensive Fender you can buy or Les Paul or something. Go into a guitar shop, almost put a blindfold on, play them all, don't look at the price tag, play them in every amp, find the combination you like, then look at the price tag, and you'll be often quite surprised it's not what you think it's going to be. I mean, but anyway, that's the first one. And halfway through, I saw someone was selling an Ibanez, and I've had Ibanezes before, and they're great for a lot of things, and they've got a lovely sound. It's got some gorgeous wood. I don't know what wood it is. I'm not a guitar geek, I'm afraid, but it's just got kind of gnarly, kind of knotty wood, and it's dark, and it's just beautiful. And I just thought, that's calling out to me. I don't even know if it's any good, but it just had that look of it, and I thought it looks organic, it looks woody, not folky, but it was a lovely mix of, this is almost like a shredder's guitar, but it looks organic and to do with folk and the landscape, and which is a lot about where I come from. And I went and played it, and it is a great guitar. It's a great guitar. So, and I bought that. So halfway through, I kind of switched to that. And the only other one that's on there, and I don't like this guitar at all, it's another Ibanez, but it's a 7-string. And for one of the tracks, it's got the backing riffs are all done on a 7-string to get that low kind of crunch and chunk. And that's Uprising. So if you listen to that carefully, you'll realize it's got a 7-string on there. So it's not something I'd play out of choice, but it was a tool and suited the purpose that I needed it for. And I'm currently thinking, should I flog it, or am I going to use it again for another song and another album? I'll probably have to keep it just in case, I think. But yeah, it's not my favorite at all. But yeah, it's just those.
You have room for it.
Yeah, that's true. We have a stupidly big house. It's our money pit is great.
We'll be back with more conversation, but here's another track from Matt Steady's new record, Presence. He was talking about this one. It's called Perforate. That's Perforate from Matt Steady's new record, Presence. And now, here's some more of my conversation with Matt. So, tell me about all these children you're raising.
Okay, well, at the moment, there's 10 of us in the house. We've got my daughter Indigo, who's done many a gig with me, vocals, kind of acoustic gigs. We've been doing that for years and years and years. And she's just got married to her husband, and he's living with us at the moment. They're just looking to move out to do some renting. Then my oldest boy, who we adopted, he's now not living at home. He's got his own place. So that's he's living with some other people, but he's not living at home. So that's great. So that's quite an achievement in this day and age, really. Then we've got our two big girls who we adopted, must be 6 years ago, something like that. And then we've got an older teenager lad who we're fostering. And we've got a sibling group of 3 little ones as well, who we're also fostering. So it's complete madness here most of the time, but it's an awful lot of fun as well. Crazy. And a dog and 2 cats.
There are obviously lots of children in the world who need families and need homes. And
sure.
So here you are providing family and home to a bunch of kids. And I'm not going to, paint you as a noble saint or anything. It's not like that. That's not the point. The point is something in you chose to do this. Something in you said, I have this to offer. And I'm interested in that and in the parts that were maybe scared to do it or excited to do it. And
I seem to fall into it. It's not just me, it's my wife as well. We had done some fostering many years ago before Abby got pregnant. And we stopped at the time when she was pregnant because the lad we were kind of doing weekend fostering, respite fostering, but they were a bit worried that he could get a little bit violent at times, which wasn't really a problem. But they weren't keen on it when Abby was pregnant, so we stopped for a while. It was all kind of accidental, really. We chose to adopt Martin because we wanted a second child, and we just thought we could do it. And in all, the kind of whole pregnancy and birth thing, we did it. We didn't really feel like we needed to do it again. It wasn't something that we got. I mean, she's amazing. Don't get me wrong. But the actual process itself is not something that was particularly joyous for us. It didn't really suit Abby. She's so fit and healthy that being a whale wasn't really her kind of cup of tea. And it's and so we adopted Martin, my big lad. So yes, we did that, and then a few years back, we just happened to find out that there was 2 children that we knew that needed a home. It was never something we wanted to do. In all honesty, our children were getting quite old, getting to teenagers, and we thought, we're nearly there. They're nearly gone. We're going to be able to go on holiday, and we're going to be able to do this and do that. It's woo, we're almost there. And we just couldn't let these guys go. They're amazing children. We knew them, and so you just step in and do it. And I was really a bit nervous about it because I knew I'd be the main carer because I'm at home most of the time and I'd be doing the school runs. And you just think, I don't even know if I can do this. I know I can be a dad, but actually doing full time like most mums do, it's like, respect. That's a lot of commitment. And have I got that in me? Can I do it? Or is it going to drive me mad and I'm going to turn into this evil person that just hates everybody and everything? I really didn't know, but but you just have to do it sometimes. And I just thought, we're going to do it, and we did it, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's not easy at all. In fact, it's really tricky, but there's just so many amazing moments, and I just love it. It's great. And then a few years later, once I started taking them to primary school when the littlest was at primary school age. And I met up with a lady there who was a mum of one of her friends, and realised she was a foster carer, and she had a sibling group of about 8 or something absolutely mad. I mean, we used to go around there for tea, and I'd used to have some of them back for tea. And she said to me, you could do fostering. And I kind of looked at her and go, don't be daft. Of course I couldn't. That's not me. But it planted a seed, and a few weeks later, I was thinking, I wonder if I could. So I said to Abby, do you think I could be a foster carer? I said, yeah, of course you could. And so she was really up for it. I mean, she's the deputy head at a special school, so it was going to be my time mostly that was going to be impacted, as it were. It would be like a career, basically, in terms of time. and you do all the training, and they come and do an assessment that takes forever, and it's really hard work to even get on the roster. And and that's a good thing. You need the right people on there. It's a tough job, and you need people who are going to be able to stick at it and do it. But we did that, and then we've ended up. This is our second group. We've been doing it for a few years now, and it's a load of fun. But we ended up. They were kind of sharing bedrooms and things, and it came to the point you just thought, these guys are too big; they can't be sharing rooms anymore. But then you realise how many people you've got, and you think, all right, so are we going to do an extension in the garage? Are we going to put something on the back of that? And then we just saw the advert for this house and thought, it just called to us. It just looked magical and amazing and sprawling and mad and falling down and big garden. It was and lots of rooms, which is what we essentially needed. And we went for it. We kind of stretched ourselves and we did it. And we moved into this mad. It's a bit like in the Narnia stories, you've got that big rambling mansion with the uncle that lives in it. Well, we've got a library. I mean, for goodness sake, who's got a library? It's bonkers. And it is a complete money pit, but it's absolutely brilliant. And we've ended up with chickens and ducks, and we've got ourselves a dog now, and cats everywhere, and it's just fabulous. It's a lot of hard work. Everything's hard work, but it's all very, very rewarding. And I'm so glad that we did it. I never thought I want to be a foster carer. This is what I'm going to spend my life doing. It was just completely accidental, and we just kind of all fell into it, really. And I totally recommend it. It is absolutely brilliant. But in a way, I don't recommend it because it is really hard work, and there's only certain type of people I think that would like it and enjoy it and stick at it and do it well. And I think if you're that kind of person, you probably know that already, that you're that kind of person. But if you're thinking about it, get in touch with someone who does it, find some people that already foster, have a chat with them, have some honest chats and find out, all the pitfalls and the good points and the bad points. But try it, get to know some fosterers and see what it's about, because it is hard, but it's brilliant. I totally recommend it. But and sometimes I do music.
We'll be back with more conversation after we hear this track from Matt Steady's new record Presence. It's called Uprising. uprising. I hope you're enjoying this music from Matt Steady's new album, Presence. I think it's quite wonderful to listen to. Okay, here's some more conversation with Matt Steady. This is Paradigms at paradigms.life. I think it's an incredibly, kind, loving thing to do. And also, just very human. This is something humans do. We take care of each other.
I totally agree. And it is, but it's not 100% altruistic because we get a lot back out of it as well. So it is a two-way thing. It's not a one-way street.
Do the kids do music with you?
Some of them do, actually, yeah. None of them have really taken on lessons yet. I've got one of them wanting to do drum lessons now, which I'm, yes, come on, get in there.
Right.
Get in there, lad. And one of the other little girls loves to sing with me and make up songs and things. So yeah, trying to encourage that.
That's wonderful.
But I try not to teach them myself because it gets a little bit too personal, and
Sure.
they can't do. I don't know. It's better having somebody else doing the
Oh
teaching.
yeah. Well, it's like never teach your kid to drive. Someone else has to do that.
I'm with you there.
So this is wonderful. It sounds like you're having a great life out in the country a bit.
Yeah. We're in a very small town called Narborough, and we're right bang in the middle of it, right in the centre. So you kind of got this nice little community feel. But if you walk out about 50 metres, it's countryside, because it is pretty small. And in the back of our garden, there's a crown green bowling green, where they do bowls, and so you can watch that. And just beyond that is a train track, and it's just the right distance to give you a nice rumble, but it doesn't wake you up at night.
Nice.
And then beyond that, you got trees, and it's just nice.
Well, for folks who've never been to England, the countryside is so beautiful and green, and there are train tracks everywhere because everyone goes everywhere by train, which is really awesome. But it's just a very beautiful. The small towns have a lot of charm, and it sounds like a good life.
We mostly travel by yellow minibus. We've bought a minibus.
Well, yeah, with that many kids, my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. So this record, Presence, it's out?
The official release is tomorrow. Yeah.
All right. So what are you going to do? What happens with it? How do you get it out there? And are you talking to other radio folks?
Well, the first thing is I did a pre-orders or crowdfunding stage. I mean, for me, it's a hellish experience, and it is also very rewarding at the same time. It's really interesting. I would make a record whether or not it was crowdfunded or pre-ordered by anybody. I would still make it because it's just what you do. So it's not like if we don't get to a certain amount, I don't make the record. It's not one of those things. Right. Like some of the crowdfunding things that are out there. But you kind of put forward some of the demos, and people basically buy stuff in advance, knowing that you'll fulfill it in a few months' time once you've finished the record. And it means you can get people like Tel Bryant on drums and things like that. You can just do more with the record, and you can make it a better record because you've got people basically funding it from the start. Otherwise, you've got to pay for it all up front, all the merch and everything. You don't know how much to buy. I mean, how many T-shirts do you buy? T-shirts are a nightmare. And you end up with, if you're not careful, you just end up with 50 extra smalls left over that nobody wants to buy. And you realize you've made no money whatsoever on it. And, you have to make some money on it because you've got to feed the cats and the kids. And so it's really good. And I think the people that pre-order feel part of the process, and you give them lots of constant updates and how you're getting on. And it is kind of lovely, but it is also absolutely exhausting. And your emotional roller coaster for it is, every time something comes in, you dance, yeah, someone's ordered this. And then you go for 2 days and no one's ordered anything. You're thinking,
oh no.
Oh my goodness. And then I really put myself through the ringer this time because I put vinyl on. And basically, it's almost impossible to make a profit on vinyl. But I wanted to do it as like tick off on the bucket list. So I did it. And I just kind of self-funded it. And actually, I've sold about half as many as I need so far to make a profit on it. So I'm hoping once it goes out, that will actually become at least, a little bit profitable, which is great because I've always wanted to do a record. So I'm really chuffed about that. So it's good. So those guys who pre-ordered, they've had the album for a while now. I've posted all of their CDs and everything. The vinyl is still being made, but hopefully it isn't going to be too long now. And then I've given them a little bit of time just to have the album by themselves because they kind of deserve that for being there for me. But tomorrow I'm doing a release party, I guess. So basically, it will be a live stream. I'm going to play the record through. obviously there'll be a chat and they can ask any questions about it, and I'll talk about each of the songs and play some of the videos for it and things like that. So that should be good fun.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So then that'll be the official launch, and then I go, yeah, there we go, and that'd be great. And hopefully I can move on to make some more music now, because you get this wonderful experience where you get all this creative burst for about 6 months, and then you got 6 months kind of mixing, mastering, tweaking, making artwork, working out the money side of the things, marketing, and just faffing about. And you suddenly realize I haven't actually written a song for about 6 months. So yeah, that's the joys of being independent.
I hope you're enjoying my conversation with Matt Steady and the music from his new record, Presence. Matt has explored a number of genres as a musician. I hope you'll check out his website, especially the list of albums he's made, varying from instrumental to blues to traditional. And now this album of epic rock instrumental poems. That's how I think of it. All right, let's get back now to my conversation with Matt Steady. It's a funny rhythm. I was talking with someone the other day, and they're promoting a new record, they're mixing a record, and they're writing a record. So they've got all these stages going on at once. And she was saying it's tricky. It's really because I'm in love with the stuff I'm writing now, but I'm promoting the stuff I wrote a year ago, and I'm mixing the stuff I wrote 6 months ago. And so it's an interesting sort of a rhythm you have to find.
I tell you what's interesting is I said to John, because quite a lot of the time, if someone gives me like a set of chords to play something, I can go, and suddenly it will just inspire me, and I'll come out with something really nice on top of it. But if I just sit there with a guitar in a guitar shop, and people go, well, play something, it's like, oh, I don't know. So you mentioned John Reid at the beginning, and he's got his album out. It's this week. His album is out, and that's a cracking album. I've had it for a little while. Obviously, don't tell anyone. I do play on a couple of the tracks as well, which was great fun. But he said, "I tell you what, I'll do you some synths." So he just laid down some very, very simple kind of moody synths. There's not even any chords in it, really. It's just a mood piece thing. It's very simple, and he just gave it to me, and I just put so much stuff over it. You can hardly even hear what he played. So I left a bit at the beginning to make sure you could definitely hear it. But from that kind of acorn, you can't see the acorn actually sometimes once the tree's grown. But from that, so I've actually called the track Reed.
I had a feeling when I saw it.
And it's this absolute cracking track. And halfway through, it just comes in with this boom, and it's one of my favorite bits of the album, and I really like it. But yeah, the little acorn that started that track off was from John. So I thought you might like to know that.
How fun the collaboration and sharing inspiration and all of that stuff. I mean, these are just things people do. People have been doing these things forever, and it's wonderful. And I say that part, obviously you have a gift for music, but everyone has something in them that can come out that, even if it's not for other people to avail themselves of, expression. I'm a huge fan of people expressing themselves. I think it's part of how we can maintain some modicum of mental health.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I do agree. I think some people have, you might call it a gift, or some people they're very good at one area of the creative arts. But generally, you find they've been doing it for 40 years. You know what I mean? Most of the people who've got a gift for music have been working for hours and hours and hours every day for about 20 years, from when they're about 5. So there is an element of find what you're good at. And then there's an element of you've just got to crush it with hours. And, you do get there. And the trick is, if you find something as a kid that you enjoy and you can carry on that into being an adult, the number of hours you put into it is huge. Whereas if you... don't get me wrong, nothing against football, but if you play football and that's your passion, and then you get to 20 and you don't play football anymore, and then you start trying to do guitar, it can work. It can be absolutely amazing. But actually, if you've had the luck to have had parents that have kind of pushed you through various musical lessons all the way through your childhood, and then you decide you still like it, it's a very privileged position to be in. You've kind of got quite a big leg up on it. Saying that, I didn't write any songs till I was 40. I thought I didn't have a creative spark. I was always told at school that I was, a mathematician, scientist. You're not an artist. You're not creative. You can play other people's music, but you can't write your own, and that's the kind of thing that kind of gets drilled into you. It's not even on purpose. It's just
But what a thing to tell a
and
kid. That doesn't seem like a
yeah,
good
it's
thing.
mad, isn't it? And it took me decades to get that out of my head and thought, do you know what, I'm going to give it a go anyway. And really surprised myself and fell in love with it. So there we
It's
go.
very
Yeah.
cool.
I think I would literally be going stark raving bonkers if I couldn't do this creative stuff in between. It really does sustain you. We've got this thing, Abby and I. Someone once said it to us decades ago, but they said you used the word gift. You've got three types of gifting: tertiary, secondary, and primary. And tertiary giftings are ones that you're really good at, but they drain you and they're hard work. And then you've got your secondary giftings, and you're really good at them. And you can just pretty much do them. They don't really drain you. If someone needs you to do it, you can do it. It's not a problem. And then you got your primary giftings where you're really good at them and they energize you and they fill you with just passion and hope and give you a reason for living. And, I said this in the wedding speech to my daughter the other week. She's so clever and can do so many things. She's going to be asked to do so many things over the years because she can do them. But actually, there comes a point where actually concentrate on the ones that fill you back with life and don't end up, even if you're good at stuff, it doesn't mean you have to do it, but find the stuff that fills you with life and passion and, brings that energy back into you so you're not drained all the time. And for me, if I can do some music in between the school runs or something, in between all the meetings and emails, then it gives me energy for the rest of my life, which is great. So I think everyone's got that somewhere. They just need to find out what it is.
That actually translates into really good advice.
Good.
We'll be back with the final part of my conversation with Matt Steady after we hear this track that Matt was just talking about, Read. You can hear the background music from our friend John Reed on that track, Reed, from Matt Steady's new album, Presence. And now here's the final part of my conversation with Matt Steady. It sounds like you're doing great. The music is really inspired. You're having a wonderful life doing stuff that you believe in, and looks like fun. And yes, like you said, it's a lot of work. And, well, life is a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. I just need to find a way to get some sleep now and we'll be all right.
Well, good luck with that. Well, I'm really happy to talk with you. I'm thrilled with the music, and I love
Thank you so much.
the whole thing of what you're doing. It just feels very full and rich and real.
Yeah, I've had a lot of really positive feedback on the album so far, much more than I normally do, which makes me worry about my previous work. But I think it's slightly more. I think folk, if you're a folkie, it can really hit the spot. But this, I think, is quite transferable. I think I haven't made it to be more marketable or more transferable or to hit a different audience. I would never do that. You just got to play what comes out. But this one seems to have hit the spot across the board. For me, if I can get someone listening to some of these tracks all the way through, they're generally smitten, it seems. So the tricky thing for me is getting it into other people's ears so they can fall in love with it.
Oh, yeah.
If they can't hear it, they can't fall in love with it. So that's the thing I need to be working on.
Well, this falls under the category to me of traveling music. This is music you listen to when you journey inside, which I think is a really important part of life. It is for me anyway. I need time where I am just literally lying down, either quiet or listening to music, and allowing my mind to go where it needs to go instead of where I need it to go, because somehow that allows tension to unravel and ideas to come, and it's just an important part of life for me, and I think for a lot of people. So this music is great for that.
I love it. I love music with words, don't get me wrong, but there's sometimes you get an instrumental album and it doesn't tell you what it means, and it's easier to put your own emotions and your own background and everything you're doing just where you are into that music, and it can take you to another place, but it's not telling you where that place is. It's where you need to go to,
exactly.
And it's where you need to be, and there's something about it not always displaying the road sign to you that's quite important. I used to do a lot of listening on the commute to work. That's my don't you mind traveling? No, it's that half an hour there where I could just shut out everything else and just concentrate on the music and just let it wash over you. No one's interrupting me. There's no phone calls. There's no children. There's no one asking me for any emails. You know what I mean? It's just that protected time with just me and some music, and I found that really helpful and healing when I was doing that kind of work. So, yeah, important stuff. But I think music is magical. It's, how do you even explain it? It's got a spiritual dimension to it for sure. It opens you up. It heals. It definitely heals. It can work absolutely wonders in your life, but you do have to take the time to do it, and you've got to look out for the music that does it for you. If you just put on Radio 1, you know what I mean? You're not seeking it out. You're not. It's just something. It's not. That's kind of more noise, really. You've got to find the music that calls to you and speaks to you and gets that kind of connection with your insides.
Thank you for the music.
Thanks so much for listening. Yeah.
Really wonderful. Well, we'll be in touch with the next record.
Absolutely. I'll let you know as soon as I got something.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Matt Steady, great talking with you again. Love the music. Sounds like you're having a great life and making a real difference in a number of other people's lives. Isn't that what it's all about? Folks, if you'd like to learn more, Matt's website is mattsteady.com. Check out his many other albums. He's really quite an accomplished artist. And maybe you found some inspiration in the things he told us about his life. I did. Thank you, Matt. We'll be talking with you again. And if you enjoyed this episode with Matt Steady, I hope you'll check out the Paradigms website at paradigms.life, where the Paradigms archives live, going back to 2009. What inspired me about Matt's description of his life with his family is that he's learned to go with the flow. Life seemed to point him in this direction of caring for all these kids and making this big, wonderful, crazy sounding home. And he went with it. And it's a lot of work and it's a lot of reward. And he loves it. Life isn't about things always being easy. We all know this. But there's something to be said for not struggling with the direction your life seems to want to go in, especially when it's so life-affirming. So I'm going to leave you with one more track from Matt Steady's new album, Presence. It's called Constant. And let's let the word for the week be flow. What is the flow of your life? If life is a big river, where is the river taking you? Do you fight against it? Do you go with it? What if it's a direction that you really don't want to go in? These are things we all encounter. Well, let's just notice the flow in our lives, where it's disrupted and where it just flows along beautifully. All right, Baruch signing off for this episode of Paradigms. We'll be back next time with more inspiring people. Until then, flow and be well. You've been listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life.